FTW, who were struggling very, very much against TES right now, crush iDomino into the ground. And iDomino not showing up for the first match takes away a little bit of fun from them because they didn't get an opportunity to play two matches, but only one in here. But Bulldog this far, seemingly the top team for the group, at least for now, would have probably stomped iDomino even more. So wondering if that didn't actually save them a little bit.
Yeah, and just like that, another Italian team is eliminated from the tournament. So the third Italian team to not make it, we were mentioning it earlier. So we had four Italian teams in the entirety here of the group stage, and only one is still left, and that's TES Gaming, now going up in their next game against FTW. And just like you said, I really like the performance here from Jonah and also Shaki doing a real good job on the top and mid lane. For me, those two were the ones to really close the game out. But taking a look back on the early game, really a nice bot lane for FTW, because it was the bot lane to first bring up the pressure and to make iDomina struggle a little bit.
Yeah, surely. And that bottom lane, I mean, the pressure was so huge, 60 to 30 CS in the very early stages of the game. As the Kog'Maw, which was a little benefit of doubt from me, and worked out so perfectly well. With Oriana doing also very, very nicely, but not really landing many of these clutch shockwaves. I didn't see like a lot of these setup shockwaves which allowed Kog'Maw to get these kills. Actually, all of these skirmishes were very rough, where they had to catch the enemies like they were prey to get these kills. These weren't really team fights. It was FTW hunting down iDomino one after the other.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm pretty much looking forward to the next game because we already have the first bets coming in here. Already a prize pool of 669 betties. And so far, all the fans of FTW are strolling in. And I really like to see the support. So that kind of support that we see for the Portuguese team here hasn't really come in for any other team so far. So they seem to be a fan favorite. And therefore, I also hope that they will make it to the grand finals here, to the offline finals. And maybe this is going to be the game against Bulldog eSports that we have been waiting for. But first of all, they have to take on TES Gaming, and they lost to them. So what do they have to do better in this second game?
Overall, the early game up against TES was very weighed out. I feel like it really started as a high level, evened out game right there. So I liked it definitely. And in these games, it all comes down to if you make the small mistakes or not, and if TES were able to capitalize on that or not. So FTW, yeah, they had a little bit of movement, but TS was able to read that and counter play that. Now FTW will have to make sure that TS get less knowledge on what the Portuguese team is doing. And if TS actually finds something out, then FTW will have to have something planned out a step ahead. So that they don't just get counter jungled, counter played over and over and over again, and instead they don't do the stuff that TES will be expecting.
Yeah, definitely. So that's something to look out for. That leaves us with just enough time to tell you once more. If you have something to say about the show, if you want to tell us that we're doing our job great, or if you want to criticize something, please let us know in the Twitch chat or via Twitter and Facebook. Feel free to use those channels to your liking, and because there's always stuff we can improve. There's always stuff we can do better. For example, spelling the names, as I just learned that it's pronounced Shaki and not Saki or something else. Yeah, that's something we casters don't already know because we're casting such a great variety of teams, and that's also something that we really enjoy and that we really like. But those national or personal flavors that are added to the teams or the pronunciation, that's just something we can't always be informed about. Yeah, it's about 10 minutes of a time until the next game is gonna start. TES versus FTW. Nero, tell us a little bit more about how this group evolved today. So, what we are seeing right now, how did we get into the gameplay with the Gragas? I was talking about it, that every group had that specifications. And today it looks like Gragas is pretty popular. We haven't seen that all 3 days before. Why is that so?
Uh, Overall, it just fits some players more, fits others less. And Gragas, some people just think that after the changes that were made to him, after the lack of the wave clear, he was completely broken, and they don't even take him into account. So they forgot about him and they focus on the newest meta, like the Graves, the Kazakhs, the Elise. Just a while back, they would focus on the Rek'Sai so much out there and just forget about this Gragas completely. Some teams still believed in him and they decided to play that champion, use it to the best of its ability. And right here, this far, we are being proof that it still works both in the top lane and in the jungle. It can be actually used in variety of situations. But most importantly, this ultimate is just so clutch. That's why you're always going to be seeing the Rumble, the Lee Sin, no matter what, because these champions' ultimates are so important. And I always mention about that throughout the entirety of the week, but I never mentioned the Gragas. That also is quite big. The explosive cask, it can control the team fight so much. Not only does it bring one target that you're looking for closer to you, but it can knock the others away. So that's really huge. And I feel like Galio and Gragas could be a pretty nice combination if we ever come to see that. But then once again, it gets complicated a little bit because of how his damage was nerfed. And yeah, the lack of damage can just show up. This part, protect the carry. For counter, him playing that Sivir did not necessarily work out. You did a very good job, but the rest of the team just seemed not to have enough strength. But right here, for FTW, even if they did not have the entirety of the rest of the team that did so well, even if they did not have that 3-0 Renekton, even if they didn't have that Oriana who could do whatever she wanted because um, nobody faced off against her on an equal level, I think even that Kog'Maw alone would be good enough. So yeah, so there's a possibility definitely for FTW to experiment a little bit with that, to just focus a lot on the crowd control and leave a lot of the damage dealing to their AD carry, because now they can feel definitely confident that he's got enough skills. And coming up against DES, apparently, well, their Sivir counter is like among the top 200 Sivers in the world, so that's already quite impressive. You could definitely see his skill on that champion, and also some little detail that maybe not a lot of people paid attention to, maybe nobody even noticed. But when the Nexus was already being destroyed, when that Sivir was the last man standing, she was one up against five. A hook was tossed right at him by Raisins, and Counter used his spell shield at the very last split second, and it always takes a lot of skill to do that. It was not even a long range hook, so he did not have much time to react completely. And that really shows you the caliber of that. So FTW might be thinking about banning off that Sivir in the up and coming game. But the Gragas, it might be a point of focus for actually both of the teams. So I think we might even see him again right here, but I won't be surprised if we don't see him. Because there's just remember, there's still such a variety of heroes left to pick. There's this Elise, there's the Lee Sin, there's the Kazakhs that we've not seen for quite a bit of time. And it seems like ever since yesterday, people seeing Donard's performance were just afraid to pick the Kazakhs because of seeing how bad it's gone.
Yeah, definitely. In that first game yesterday, Donards really sucked, to be honest, on that Kazakhs. He really didn't make anything happen with that. But in the end, he really stood up, and taking some other champions, she showed a very, very nice performances that in the end granted his team the victory. So maybe for a false reason, people are afraid of that Kazakhs now. But I don't think that takes too much of an effect here on the teams. I don't think they're worrying about what happened yesterday or even the day before. I think they will go today to their liking. So let's keep on talking about those bans. So you suggested maybe Sivir is going to be a ban. I probably expect Lulu and Fiora to be banned again. That leaves 3 bans open. You were talking about that, Gragas. We have seen TES and FTW both played at Gragas. Could you imagine one of those teams even taking that Gragas out and banning it?
Don't really think that it's going to be a ban, but we could see a couple of Lee Sin's bans this far today, so there is a little bit of a possibility to get rid of that. And yeah, possibly some comfort picks. A lot of research is going to come into play this time, actually. Mm, a lot is on the line in this matchup, actually fighting in the finals against Bulldog Esports TES. They have a little bit of story behind that matchup already because they just lost a while ago, so they will want the revenge for the win. They came back from facing off against TES and losing in the first match of the group. Then they were able to beat the iDomina, thus gaining a little bit of that momentum of just reconsidering actually their chances in this group and possibly reading through what TES has done in the first match. Because as I mentioned, the early game was pretty close. So in my opinion, maybe FDW were not expecting TES to be playing that kind of a playstyle to be so good because of the region that they come from. I mean, Italy, not a lot of people considered them to still be a player in this tournament, but TES are. And yeah, with three teams down, as I mentioned, this last Italian team will at least be fighting to get the second place in this group, if not the first one. It's gonna be hard to take them down. But FTW, I feel like they have this strength inside of them, this wild play style that they decided to go for in the previous game might lead them to some surprises and maybe the victory against TES.
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility of doing so. I think the players are still getting ready, so a few minutes until the picks and ban, until we finally see what is it gonna be in this group D. As iDomina, they already left us today, and who is gonna advance? If you had to pick a favorite out of the three remaining teams, now that we've seen performances from all of them, who would it be to really go through and make it out of this group?
Well, the easiest thing to say is probably Bulldog Esports, but I can't help the feeling that when they dominated TES, it felt like only Counter was doing fine. And since he's such a good Sivir and it's not info that is completely impossible to fight, it's very easy to wind it up. And I think Bulldog might get rid of that Sivir. And then next up, the game is going to be completely easy for them. And it would be a little bit of a surprise if FTW get through. Then I think it might get a little bit more tricky. But at the moment, definitely Bulldog Esports seeming by far like the stronger team.
Definitely, but I think we're gonna experience some kind of the same phenomenon that we experienced yesterday with Euronics, who also made it to the loser match and then came back and just found their rhythm. I expect FTW to get on a steamroll here as well, because I definitely do expect them to really take on TES here. I think the first game was not the real outcome, not the best from FTW. And now they know what's on the line. Now they know how this is going to pan out. So I really expect them to be a contestant here. And even though Bulldog Esports, even though they look pretty sharp in their matches so far, I really do expect that this psychological part of the game for FTW might come into account here.
Surely has a chance like that. If FTW actually show some promise in TES, as I mentioned, I definitely am considering the possibility that the Bulldog will be a little bit surprised and maybe not so well prepared for them. But for TES, it's going to be quite hard to correct all their mistakes. But then on the other hand, after all, they were playing with this Sivir being the main output of their damage. Maybe they will not decide to focus on counter so much, since even without their support he was able to do so well. They'll just focus on winning their singular lanes and then be able to take that matchup, with counter still doing fine on as the AD carry. But yeah, it's just talking about what will happen against Bulldog Esports. Maybe in this match, we'll already find out what the plan for both of the teams is, what they've corrected, and how it's going to be. Because this far, we've already seen TES versus FTW. And is it once again going to turn into a bloodbath, or is it going to be FTW actually just sticking to their plan and being able to execute it a little bit longer? We'll find out. In terms of bets, it's pretty close, but once again, I just feel like For the Win has such a strong fan base out there. The Portuguese scene overall seems really into supporting their teams. Like you've got the Polish people that are very much into esports and always supporting their players. You've got the Portuguese who are pretty similar. You've got the Brazilians who always fight for their team no matter what. So they always cheer them up. So yeah, I feel like a lot of that fan base behind FTW is more from their hopes and from their beliefs in that League of Legends scene on their in their country rather than the actual skill coming from behind it.
Yeah, but it's something interesting to mention because we see it on the bets are leading for TES here, but the fans for FTW, they are definitely louder. They are the loudest fans that we had so far in the Twitch chat. And that's something it has to be pretty nice to experience, especially if you're the fan favorite Shaki. I I assume that he is reading the chat right now, and that he is also taking some motivation off of those cheerings. And it just looked like we were going to jump into the picks and bans here. So this is gonna be the second last game of today. True Esport against For the Win. And already the Fiora ban is in, and the Lee Sin ban that you were mentioning also comes into the place.
Yeah, so Fiora, just wondering why it is banned so often in here, because it's a champion that definitely is possible to shut down. After all, when you've got a great Fiora player, you could also see in the previous days what could happen if a Camille was picked in the top lane. It's kind of a similar playstyle right there. It's also a very dominant top laner that can completely demolish you, and it's a skirmisher most of all. Yeah, wondering about that. If there was supposed to be a player that loves that Fiora, he could also probably go for a Camille and still be just as effective. And if that Fiora is just banned as a random pick, then I think the TES have what it takes to be able to beat her. After all, FTW had an extremely good Renekton in the previous game, and I would worry about that more than about a Fiora.
Yeah, and looking at the bans, we see the Lulu and Fiora ban as expected coming in here from the teams. Also, LeBlanc ban coming in by TES. Remember, this is the second time today that these two teams are meeting off, and the first pick is going to be the Karma.
Mm-hmm. And once again,
And
TES
FTW
could go for that little bit of a mix, just picking a completely wild team comp, making FTW wonder who's going to go. But you could already see in the previous game that FTW figured it out pretty easily, and they were able to deal with it. So I'm not expecting TS to do that, but Nami's already picked. That's half of that Nami Kog'Maw combo that we did get to see yesterday. And what I'm wondering about is like Caitlyn ban from FTW. The Caitlyn ban actually makes TES even closer to picking that Sivir. And I'm not sure if FTW want to face off against her. So maybe just leaving the bottom lane alone or banning the Sivir would have been a little bit better idea. And yeah, indeed, Kog'Maw and Nami once again in the bottom lane. And also the same jungler. So FTW might be going for exactly the same team comp as in their
yeah,
previous match.
they seem to feel confident in that particular composition here, and why should they change it? So just never change a running system. That's the plan they were going for, and it was just a little bit that was lacking in the first game between those two teams. So probably FTW now looking for putting on the best performance and putting together the best composition that they can possibly make. On the other hand, watching that Syndra, I'm a little bit afraid about the mid lane as TES Gaming. They also did show us some nice play in that mid lane. Tsusumi is the mid laner from TES Gaming, and he's gonna face Shaki in there. So this is gonna be a very, very interesting fight between those two mid laners. On the other hand, Elise in the jungle, we've seen mixed performances out of her. You have to hit your cocoons. That's a must-have, definitely on Elise. On the other hand, Ivern, so far, I can't remember that he really disappointed us. So let's see how this will all work out for those two teams.
So just put that Renekton in the top lane again and the Orianna in the middle, and you've got a perfect team comp for FDW from the previous game, I guess. But will TES be surprised by that at all? Although all the fans just demanding that Orianna from Shaki, there's a possibility that's one of his best champions. So there's a possibility he'll want to get that no matter what. And if they change just the top laner, it's not going to be a lot of a change. So I think TES might have read through that. They definitely have been watching the previous game. And just the question is, will FTW be able to revolutionize this team comp enough in order to still keep it fresh? Or are they going to play the exactly same game? And that will be just an open book for TES.
I wonder what's about to happen. Yeah, there's the Orianna coming in, as you were just seconds ago talking about that. And it's going to be very, very interesting to see TES which kind of AD carry they're going to pick. But I expect it to be that Sivir.
Oh, that Sivir indeed. That is the question. If we get to see that Sivir, we're gonna get an amazing bottom lane already. Oh, Rek'Sai into the jungles is something we've not seen for quite a bit of time, and I've been looking forward to. Ah, okay, yeah, so we're gonna get a placeholder pick. So what a troll. Actually, why do you placeholder a Rek'Sai who's a realistic pick rather than, once again, as I mentioned in the first day, some Annie or a Mumu or whatever. So no, that's a Gragas instead of a Rek'Sai. And, well, Varus, at least, is gonna be the real AD carry, and this far I pretty much like the team comp that TES has got. Of course, it would be a little bit better probably to have the Lulu instead of the Karma, but overall seems pretty solid, pretty strong. And yeah, of course, our Rek'Sai would not make sense at all since Elise is already the jungler, and Gragas that way will be going into the top lane. FDW, once again, they have the Renekton in the top for themselves. They're facing off against the Gragas right there, and that Renekton was devouring the Gragas alive in the last game. In the bottom lane, we're going to get a good battle because Counter, he's already proven he's an amazing AD carry, while on the other side, this Litmus's Kog'Maw is completely unstoppable. So a bit of a challenge for TES, but also a little bit of a challenge for FTW to actually be still pretty fresh with that same team comp from the previous game.
Yeah, but if they can make it clip once more, and if Jonah's gonna have the same kind of performance on that top lane, I really see them going through here. But it is gonna be difficult, and so far there's nothing really to say as both teams don't go for any kind of early aggression, though there might be some little kind of trap being set up here by TES. Shaki, first of all, seeing his opponent for the first time and now going into the lane, starting the laning phase.
Yeah, but not spotting out the jungler, and I don't really see any aggressive vision from either of the teams. There is one word from TES, but it's on the river, so only if Ivern wants to counter jungle, and probably there's a possibility to do that. And right now, Elise is walking straight towards the red buff of FTW that the Portuguese team is definitely not expecting, so great idea, for sure, because, of course, what will Ivan want to do? Will want to steal the jungle away of the enemy team, and now I think it's a little bit too late to realize, and he's going straight towards his own red buff indeed, so not only is he going to lose the red buff, but also waste a ton of his time by not going towards the red buff of the enemy team. He might be so far behind in the jungle already if Clap manages to get his own red buff camp too.
Yeah, now Elise is making her way to the mid lane where Shaki is gonna be in a lot of trouble, but Kaliga also coming and Clap retreating at least for now. But that already was a pretty nice gank, getting Shaki really low here. And as you mentioned, it's going to be interesting to see how that Ivern is going to find his way back into the game as the red buff is still up and available here for grabs by TES, but I don't feel like he has the means to really engage there, only with half of his life bar.
Well then, Kalega at least getting into that jungle to steal away some raptors, at least getting a little bit of control right here. But from behind, hello! Clap comes in, if he's gonna hit the cocoon. But actually just going for the singular auto attacks, and he takes it very safe. Just a red buff trying to slow down the enemy enough to get the kill, and they are gonna find the kill. There is the first blood, taken by Clap. Not only was the red buff stolen away from FTW's jungler, but also the red buff of Claps was taken by him himself. And Kalega also just gets demolished right now. And the cocoon hits up towards the top laner of FTW. Great beginning for TES, though they have to be careful. Infinity Claw could have died out there, but the same could have happened to Renekton. Both flashes burned. And Clap.
Yeah, oh my god, what a smart play here by Jonah. I thought he was dead for sure, but still fighting on that Gragas, taking a lot of HP with him, and then a very, very nice flash to get back into safety. So greatly played once again here by Jonah, but they have to watch out because Clap is definitely in for something here. He's ganking all the time. Mid lane, top lane, mid lane, and I just can't see how this is gonna end well for FTW if Clap is on such a hot streak here.
There is a little bit of a possibility. I mean, this far his CS count is 4, so he got 1 in the middle, but it was 3. It was actually blue buff, red buff, and his own red buff. So he was not farming at all. He might still fall behind in gold if that is the case like that for a little bit longer, but now I believe he's going to be coming back to the jungle to farm himself up a tiny bit to soak up the experience. But still, Kalega, even though he is focused on that, he's behind in level. So, never mind me. Nothing's going wrong for TES. Nothing at all. And this time, Litmus is not able to just push counter down to his turret and take away the CS from Varus. He's not able to shut him down. It's not 60-30 like it would be in the previous game. It's 30-30. It's completely even. So Kalega shows up in the top lane, trying to do something, but his ganks are completely mitigated by the enemy team every single time he's spotted out, and just the luck of the buffs from the very first second also makes it so much harder. There is the cocoon, there's the scatter the weak stun from Suzume, and they're just torturing the mid laner of the Portuguese team. And what? They spot out Kalega. Actually now, Shaki disconnecting. There's a possibility that he died because he was AFK a little bit, but nevertheless, Kalega is also being chased down by Clap, and Clap, man, this jungler is relentless. He just never rests, and they don't only torture the enemy mid laner, but they also do the very same to Kalega.
Yeah, hopefully that has not been a rage quit. I really hope so, but we already see it reconnected here by Shaki, and yeah, it would be pretty interesting to see if we could get a replay there. Was he standing there idle in the mid lane? I did not pay attention to the minimap at that particular moment, but that would be interesting to know if he was dying because of that disconnect or not. But it doesn't really matter in terms of changing anything, but it's just good to know because I'm interested in that.
Yeah, sure. After all, you want to know the reason why Syndra got a kill for herself. Earlier on, there was an assist, now there is a kill, and that Syndra's going to start snowballing a little bit. And, I mean, we're not seeing Syndra so often lately in Group D and C, but when they show up, they're actually seeming quite strong. So maybe it was being saved a tiny bit by TES right here, not showing her in the previous game. Maybe now they know that FTW is getting 100% serious after that match against iDomina, them being able to win it, and so convincingly. FTW probably are on fire and just wanting to go straight to the finals, but TES know that is the real deal, and they're going to take care of it. Kollega also trying to come in from behind, but Cactua, who was pretty much very often caught by Bulldog eSports, right now doing a good job on this Karma. He's going to try to save counter as much as possible. There's the heal. There's a little bit more damage coming in from Danami, but Danami now has to turn around and run away from there. Plasma Lemon will survive. Litmus will get that kill, and we finally have a good gank from Kollega, so everything's just stuck together very well for FTW, but at the same time in the top lane, they lost their Renekton. So John Arno was completely smashing the enemy Gragas in the previous game when they're playing against iDomina, and now Infinity Clat is able to bully him a little bit in that top lane. It's the second time, actually the first time he dies, but earlier on he was really close to death.
Yeah, definitely, and we're looking back at how Jonah really died up there. Infinity Claw was there and got another gank by Clap, so in the meanwhile we saw a good gank by Kollega on the bot lane, but Clap, he just does not remain idle. He's ganking all the time, and all that continuous ganking, I feel like that is really the way to go here throughout the game, because that's what is helping TES so far in these early stages of this game.
Yeah, so actually, still in terms of the CS, John is doing quite fine out there, but Gragas getting a kill, there's another assist for Clap, and yeah, Kollega getting a successful gank going, but it's finally because Clap was not able to read him, his movements inside of the jungle. But it doesn't really mean that it's already getting much better for FTW. They're still in very deep trouble, though Shaki is not hit by any of these abilities. He's still on 100% HP, but then unleashed power, and no kill just yet. Daisy will be looking for the knockoffs. Orianna has the command protect, and now it is just about running away. Kollega will survive. It is all about the Orianna just finding a safe route so that nobody from the bottom lane respawns or anything, and that's indeed not happening. So all that TES can do right here, the true esports will try to deal as much damage to that golem as possible. Other than that, no kill, but very intense of a fight, and flashes, and a cleanse burned by Shaki right there, so a ton of summoner spells at both the sides. Might mean the game will get a little bit calmer in the coming moments, and a missed chain of corruption that still probably would not have saved that Varus from dying. It's a little bit surprising to see. This far in the bottom lane, counter has been doing indeed very fine. Now he's going to fall behind a little bit in CS, and I did not expect a gank from Kollega actually after that escape so quickly.
Yeah, definitely, and FTW, they're finding their way back into the game. They were never out of it, but they were struggling a little bit, and now they're getting into the rhythm. I'm only worrying about Jonah here on the top lane, because he was showing such a strong performance the last game. He's ahead in farm, but can he really put on such a show again as he did last game? That's probably not gonna be the case. Shaki, on the other hand, in the mid lane, still doing a decent job, now being chased by his own jungler, so Kollega may be setting up something here in the mid lane, but I just clear out a ward for now.
Oh, maybe, but I still think that the Renekton will be quite useful anyway. He's leading in farm, and he's only got 1 death. And from a couple days back, we remember a Renekton who had 4 deaths, was behind in farm, and still was quite useful. Counter once again in very much danger! The ultimate will not hit him, but so close with that living barrage to get another kill on the bottom lane. 0-2-0 on the Varus already. He's got all the deaths on his side, and Kog'Maw, Litmus, if he's able to get his killing spree going, once again, he's probably going to be the biggest danger. So I was talking about how John was very strong on that Renekton in the previous game, but Litmus was completely crushing everybody on that Kog'Maw. He's supposed to be an AD carry that's not so mobile, that's really hard to escape with. It's easy to catch him, it's easy to shut him down, But it's pretty much the same for Varus, and he once again misses the chain of corruption. So for now, the ultimates are really bad on counter's side. An easy gank right here from Kollega. He just sends out the Daisy and nothing more. He just presses R. Well, the turret is probably gonna fall, so it's the first structure down, and it doesn't matter how you begin. It only matters how you finish the game. Right here, TES with an impressive start, shutting down FTW wherever it was possible, rendering actually Kollega, the jungler of FTW, pretty much completely useless with Clap controlling everything. But right now, Clap, with consecutive ganks in the bottom lane, he's able to just deepen their advantage in there and take the first turret. And just like that, they have the advantage in gold. The Renekton is still winning in the farm, and I feel like the kills don't mean so much at the moment.
Yeah, that seems to be the case right here, but Jonah in a little bit of trouble as we see, and now we get a look back on that kill here on Shaki as Suzumi really went for that dive and instantly bursting down Shaki, not dealing enough damage to make it a quick kill for himself.
Well then, 2 deaths on the Orianna. She's completely shot down in the middle, but 3 deaths also on the Varus on the other side. So, counter, not sure why he didn't go for that safe Sivir pick, because that probably would have worked. After all, he's proved how strong he was with that. Instead of struggling so much in the Varus that he's got right now. But I was of good thoughts, for sure, when that Varus was picked, because it's a strong champion, but missing every single ultimate is already a problem. He's not going to be able to poke around with piercing arrows because he just doesn't do any damage just yet. And the Wit's End is available on Litmus already. He's got the Berserker's Greaves. He's going to be taking care of these turrets quicker and quicker now. And Infinity Clash jumping in. There's the flash from Litmus to secure himself a safe escape. But I think he might have gotten the kill on that Gragas very easily and still fought even further. But of course, well, had that explosive cask tossed him underneath the turret, he probably would have died to the turret damage simply.
Yeah, definitely FTW, they're not in to take a lot of risks here as they want to close this game out as safely as possible. Plasma Lemon and Litmus now on the top lane, but Varus making his way to this particular lane as well. But also Kollega coming in here with his Iron, but now the root on top. You see a fight going on. Litmus will not be able to survive that, and he falls down instantly. Plasma Lemon and Kollega still surviving, but what can they do? 2 versus 3. No, actually Elise died as well. And another stun coming up. Flash here used to safely get away.
And finally, being able to shut down the Kog'Maw a tiny bit is definitely a good point for TES, though. Great play by Plasma Lemon this far, and I feel like Cactua was getting caught a lot of times during the previous games. So right here, Plasma Lemon proving to be a little bit of a better support, and he's definitely safer. Litmus doing a great job on this AD carry. Well, finally dying, but it's only going to even out the wages a tiny bit right here, but definitely is not going to make it bad for them. And we still don't see Janna too involved in the fight. Just like in the previous game, the Renekton is there, he's getting strong, he's getting fed, but he's not really doing anything yet. But when he finally shows up, it could be problematic for TES. He didn't have to in the previous game because FTW caught it very easily. But in here, he will finally show up, and there he is! Janna just taking all the aggro off Kollega, but actually Kollega somehow killed off by Suzume right there, somewhere off the screen. He tosses in the Scatter of the Weak, and that gets in the kill, and Clap to find the frag and Janna. So yeah, he is strong, but he's not going to be able to win a 1v3. At the same time, the top turret is being taken down, so maybe the structures is going to become a problem for TES, but they have that middle turret on pretty low HP. Now they once again just take control of the jungle, and since Clap was doing that so well for all this time, Kollega dying once again is going to be problematic for the Portuguese team. And yeah, Shaki won on his Orianna that people demanded so much for the previous game. This far, not doing anything. Once again, a flash burned. He's got 0-3-0 now, and that Syndra is just growing into strength. And even if you're able to buy a Quicksilver Sash or anything and try to just stay safe as that Kog'Maw, nothing's gonna protect you from a Syndra ult.
Kalliga
Well
now
then,
in the opponent's jungle looking for something to do, maybe going for the gank on the top lane. Susumi in the mid lane doing a great job on that Syndra. She is the one to keep everybody in check, at least that's how I feel right now. And that's just gonna continue as she's intercepting Kalliga here in the middle of the river. The stun on Kalliga and he instantly falls down. So
yeah,
much burst potential.
that's gonna be happening more often even in this game right now. And actually, some action around that Rift Herald might force one of the teams to start moving towards it, because soon you're gonna run out. There's only 2.5 minutes left until the Baron spawns. So I'm wondering if they will want to let go, because if I remember correctly, there's not even been a single game without a Rift Herald taken down this far in the LC Gaming's Legend
Yeah,
series.
correct. Yeah. And another fall,
turret in the
another
middle.
tower falling here. Now Tsusumi on the way to the Rift Herald, just as you mentioned, and I feel like TES, they should be the one to really engage that here, but on the top lane they have to be careful as Plasma Lemon is coming in, and a very nice kill here for Litmus. Greatly done.
Yeah, and yet again.
Now it can't be TES to really engage that.
This is going to tank up a little bit of tower damage additionally, a little bit unnecessarily, but finally, one positive thing that happened for TES right there is finally they hit the chain of corruption. But still, he couldn't move at all because he was exhausted by Plasma Lemon, so counter is getting countered, I guess, on his Varus this far. Good Aqua Prison, Clap was trying to avoid it, coming a little bit behind his regular routes, and he's gonna jump towards the healing plant, but he leaves his top laner all alone. Suzume joins in the fray. He's gonna regen a little bit of mana with this plant, and there come the kills. Clap's gonna find one for himself, though finally a shutdown. Shaki's gonna get the shutdown on Suzume. That's very important. A little bit of gold for that Orianna to get her going, and everybody this far is fine on the lineup of FTW. They might be a little bit behind in terms of the kills. They might not have the advantage in terms of the structures while I thought they would have. But now taking down Rift Herald is going to grant them that structure. They have the gold lead. They will have Shaki becoming an important member in the game again. Plus, TES has a useless AD carry this far. So maybe in one team fight his Shade of Corruption will do something. But until that happens, I don't even think he's in the game.
I just feel like that was a very big mistake here by Infinity Claw going in with that Gragas, because it was Gragas and Elise all going up against 3 people there. They should have waited for the support of Tsuzumi there, and Gragas was going in a little bit over eager just without any follow-up, and that really made it all turn around, as then his teammates were coming in order to save him, but they were just obliterated by FTW. So that is leveling the terms once more. Now maybe they can take this advantage into building up a further lead here.
Yeah, but this far this game's been quite back and forth, and I feel like we lacked something like this far. So even when the first time FTW fought against TES in the very early stages of the game, I could see that it holds potential to be an extremely close and an advanced game. A game that actually is a high-level League of Legends match and not just pure chaos with kills going here and there and one of the teams finally finishing the game because they won more skirmishes or team fights. Right here, it actually has some complicated stuff happening inside of here, and that's a good repel from Clap to completely avoid the tidal wave from happening. The Ruthless Predator also does not hit, and finally a good chain of corruption, although it's not going to follow up any further. Plasma Lemon manages to run away with the use of his flash, but finally something that brought Counter's team closer to getting a kill, and him actually participating in all that, so that's really good. He's starting to show up with Litmus always being the target for TES. When they manage to shut him down and get a 5v4 team fight going for themselves, there's a possibility to maybe once again throw it over, this time into their favor. And yet again, the rappel used the right way. He's not going to drop right on top of the Shaki's bull. He's not going to get killed like that. What a shockwave though, catching 4 people, and the chase is not going to continue. So both Collega and Plasma Lemon once again saved.
And that was very close here, very well done. And now they even go for the Baron.
Not a good idea right here. They could completely get annihilated on that Baron attempt, but they all know about it themselves. They're just gonna fall back after standing there for like 3 seconds. Well then.
Now TES on the defensive foot, holding on to that outer turret here in the mid lane. Jonah on the other end, trying to grant his team a dragon.
Well, it is a Cloud Drake, and we did not really see much happening around that, and definitely both the teams not deeming that too worthy of a fight. But the next one might be really important, so I'd like to see what the next dragon is going to be, because at around 30 minutes mark, we might get a team fight going around it. But we didn't exactly see what the next Drake is going to be. But there's a possibility that it's another Cloud Drake, because I felt like the symbol didn't change at all. Suzume is looking for some catch for himself. I'm not sure if he knows that he stands on top of the wards, but definitely with that Kog'Maw running in the area, there is a possibility to pick him off with Unleashed Power, and clearly is something that he'd like to get. Ginso's Rage Blade and the Wit's End are out there on Litmus. He's got the heal that could help him soak up the ultimate, but not yet going for any more protection items, so to speak. Rift Herald used up in a very interesting place of all. And for now, the game stays very even. But the Rift Herald being used in the jungle, very far away from the turret. Actually, no, never mind. Nobody's going to be in the vicinity to take it out, so it is going to land a couple of blows in the middle turret. It's actually going to take it out. So, there it is. 3-3 in terms of these structures. Still 1,000 gold lead for FTW without these turrets taken into consideration as they evened it out. So, where does that advantage lay? It's 20 CS in the bottom lane, it's 40 CS in the top lane, and they are a little bit behind in terms of the kills, but they got a great shutdown on Suzume. Well, finally, the champion's becoming tanky enough to be able to survive some combos out there, so these skirmishes in the jungle are becoming a little bit less important. But then these could still be real big setups for the team fights.
And for now, Clap trying to clear that vision, but there's not that much that he's finding right here. Still granting his team a safe trip to their own jungle. And we see Varus and Orianna dancing around a little bit in the mid lane. This is probably gonna be the time to engage the Baron, at least that's what it looks like for TES, but can they really make it? I don't really feel that confident in that.
Well, Clap getting maybe into a little bit of a danger. He uses the rappel to avoid Aqua Prison. Not too sure if the enemies would want to follow up on this engage, but once again, Counter gets completely caught off guard. He did not quite yet have the flash, and I have no idea why he was standing in the middle all alone. Had maybe Infinity Claw right next to him, but yeah. Still, once again the Baron engage, but not be the greatest idea. Oh my goodness, they gang up on Suzume. That's a Renekton right into your face. Syndra is not able to survive that. Unleashed Power will not really be used in the right way. And I was talking about how Infinity Class still has the explosive cask, so that Baron might not be the greatest idea, but yeah, Jonah is a monster. He's gonna have some support from Nanami. Once again, the ebb and flow to kill him up a little bit longer. Cactus is gonna be able to survive though. And that should be also the second kill on the support. No, never mind, the Baron was already finished, and now the rest of the team will join in the fight. So FTW coming out on top right now. They have a big advantage. And yeah, Syndra just not being able to pick anybody off, and her being focused down by Renekton, that makes your team fight so much worse if you are TES. And counter right here in the middle, completely demolished by the Cogmo. Man, that is just a little bit of a combo. And yeah, the third item already bought up for him right there. That's Hex Drinker, soon to be a Morph Malmortius, getting a little bit of protection as I was talking about it. Maybe looking for a quick Silver Sash, maybe looking for a Hex Drinker exactly just to soak up with the magic damage shield. And he's perfectly good.
Yeah, definitely. Litmus is doing a great job so far. On the other hand, pointing it out once more again, that Varus pick doesn't really seem to clip for counter here. A little bit disappointing to see him doing the stuff he does on that Varus. We can just hope that it gets at least a little bit better for now. Shaki now making his way to the bottom lane, just pushing that lane through. In the meanwhile, we might have a team fight coming up here in the jungle. Jonah and Affinity Claw very close to each other, and I can see Jonah smiling there. He really wants to go and wants to take on that fight. He's bloodthirsty today.
Well, the Titanic Hydra and Black Cleaver, usually the core builds you will see on many of these top laners. Though, there's a good catch on Litmus, and this time he's not only being attacked by Suzume, also the rest of the team joins in that fight, and they're still able to nuke him down when they give it their best. It's one guy with a Baron less for TES to deal with. Also, Renekton has died in that previous team fight, so he's got no Baron buff out there. Plasma Lemon will not be caught, luckily enough for himself, but just like that, the Baron might be ruled out completely. And FTW, when you get the Baron, you always want to find some objectives for yourself. Now the Blood Turret in the top lane falls. It's also going to be the Infernal Drake, so no, it's not another Cloud Drake at all right here, but rotates. Daisy jumps in, and Clap in a little bit of trouble already. He's going to get knocked up. There's the dragon, stolen away by Kollega. Also, Clap is killed off. Kollega, though, has to sacrifice his life either. And Infinity Claw is going to completely miss the explosive cask, so the teamfight does not continue. And in the meantime, they have to fall back. Jonah is taking care of the inhibitor turret. He might be able to even take down the inhib, though I think that the recalls will come in quickly enough. But just imagine him having the Baron buff on himself. That Renekton would already be knocking on the Nexus doors.
Yeah, definitely. But for now, he's retreating, though. Very, very good job here, taking down 2 towers in the meanwhile. And FTW, they've been securing that Infernal Drake for themselves. And that might turn out to be very important here.
Well then, the 30th minute mark, as I mentioned, that could create a team fight around the dragon. Of course, our next objective is going to be the Baron again. TES showing some promise, still being able to win some little skirmishes, even with FTW Baron up, but then leaving a lot of space for the enemy's Renekton, so that's not what you want to do. I'm not sure if they can find an answer to the split push that's being brought in by Jonah in here. And not sure if they can kill Litmus at the same time and then keep Shaki in check. But Kollega definitely not having such a strong game as he had previously. But still, for the amount of strain that was put on him in the very beginning of the game, I'm quite happy with how he performs.
Clap and Infinity Claw now making their way to the top lane, but I doubt that they might get Jonah down here. He's just too dangerous to take on the fight, and that's the reason why Clap might be retreating. But actually, they pull off a lot of damage. Jonah still doing a good job focusing Clap here, and as I said, that Renekton might just be a bit too much of a bite here. And yeah, he's going for the kill on Clap, and Infinity Claw
Oh
now
man.
has to be careful as well.
Indeed, has to be careful, really careful. The body slam once again hits. The barrel roll will also slow down that Renekton for a little bit longer. So okay, he can get away from there. We know he's alive, but at the same time, FTW is pushing down a turret in the bottom lane. They could be taking care of the top lane too, if that Gragas recalls, and that's exactly what he does. But Jonah also goes back to base, but he's got his teleport, and there's a possibility that he might use it right now already. After all, it is FTW with the lead. They are in charge right here, and I feel like just going for the split push would lead them to the victory, but maybe it's just not worth the risk. So they will stick to the regular plan, and we'll go for the middle turret right now. So all the inner turrets will be destroyed. One of the inhibitor turrets is already down. The Baron will be coming back up in a minute, and they're looking more than strong enough to be able to take it on.
Yeah, some dancing going along here in the mid lane, but still hitting those cocoons on Jonah, that's not what helps out, because that Renekton pulls on too much damage, and now we see the engage here. Jack taking out 2 guys at Gragas and Varus falling in.
Well,
Right.
Suzume. And for now, FTW just taking care of that inhibitor turret number 2. So Jono has fallen, but it does not seem to make such a big difference. Suzume just barely staying alive. As he heals up, he'll be coming back again. But without the unleashed power, it's going to be really hard to get that Kog'Maw dead. Suzume once again gets himself into harm's way and manages to survive. Manages to fall back once again for a little bit longer. The inhibitor in the top is also not taken down by FTW while it was possible. They try to fall back, possibly aiming at the Baron. Also, another Drake will be spawning in 1 minute, but I don't think that it's going to be a lot of focus for FTW. They know that even without the Baron, they have enough power to push down the entirety of the enemy base. Oh, the Cocoon misses! That was an opportunity, that was a possibility, but it's wasted. Teleport also used up by Infinity Claw. It's going to be a Baron attempt by TES? Is it possible? The teleport also comes in from Jana into the middle. So he's ready to go up against that, and I think that it might be the desperation call from TES. They go for the Baron, they either take it and try to turn around the game, or they die on it and lose, as they're supposed to.
That's what it looks like here, but for now they're just not confident enough in really going for it and really taking that shot. So they're just staying out of it, just zoning around it. Maybe trying to find the right angle for the fight here, maybe baiting FTW into something that they might regret.
14-14. In terms of kills, it just looks so close, but right now TES must be so nervous. Just one false move and they will lose the entirety of the game, and of course not have any more chances at the LAN playoffs. They've got the control ward out there already, so they know that there's no vision for the enemy team. The chain of corruption hits, but they're so far away from killing Kollega. Just take a look at how Clap gets erased. Infinity Claw also goes down. Unleashed power is used up on the support, which does still nothing because the double kill he kicks in on Litmus, and at the same time Jono was split pushing in the bottom lane. So he wasn't even needed in that team, but it was a 5v4 in favor of TES. Another inhibitor will be brought down in the top lane, while I feel like they can still just take down the Nexus. It will be the game. And FTW will be headed towards the grand finals to face up against Bulldog eSports. And they played with the exactly same team comp as against iDomino just a game ago. I feel like they're still capable of doing a lot. I don't think that they're one-trick ponies. They're able to tweak it a tiny bit to make it to the LAN playoffs. So hopefully it's gonna go well for these guys.